Hi folks, welcome back. So I was going to say I just wanted to do a really quick video, but that's the way the last one started out, and it just seemed to kind of like drag on. But something really interesting occurred to me today, and I wasn't. I don't want to talk about gambling all the time because it's like, oh, poor me, poor me. I'm a grown adult, and I this is something that I did. And yes, I need to move on from this, but it's only been sort of 7 days since I did that first video, and that video that I did was raw. I genuinely meant the things I said in that video, and I think I've reached a point um, in that video where I kind of thought to myself that ultimately I don't really ever want to be in this position again. So I took some steps on the Saturday to change the script of my behaviour, my life, and and yeah, um, but sort of since then, I've kind of thought, well, I don't feel like this every day. The feeling comes from gambling, and it's something I want to stop, but um, I need to change a lot of things, and I need to do the right thing over many times in order to kind of correct the feelings that I have. Um, and one of those things occurred to me when I was waiting for the bus from work to come home. I usually catch a bus at a certain place in my outside where I work. But for some reason, I got on the bus that was heading into the city centre, and it's actually a really annoying bus sometimes because you get on it and it's your number. So if you get on it and it goes into town, it'll sort of come back out again and you'll get home. But sometimes you'll get on this bus and the driver will then change the number, and then it sort of follows the same route up to a point, then it will go somewhere else. So I always ask, when I get on the bus going into town, whether it will be the same number coming out. So anyway, I get on the bus, and the driver says, actually, I'm going to change the number. But I went into town anyway, and I got off a bus, and I thought, right, okay, I'll wait for another bus. And where the bus stops are, I don't know whether it's still there actually. There used to be it was like a games cafe. So it they sold, coffee, tea, cappuccinos and stuff like that. But it was a specifically designed cafe for, I think it was actually called the Geeks Cafe, and it was, designed for geeky people who like to play board games. The kinds of Dungeons and Dragons. There's comic books and stuff. There's another floor where you can buy actual comics and stuff like that. And a few other times I've gone in and I've had a coffee or a cup of tea, and then I've headed home. And and I thought, that was, I remembered that when I was waiting at the bus stop because yeah, a couple of times when I've thought, well, the bus is going to come at X point, then I'll just have a quick coffee and stuff. But I kind of felt then this kind of weird feeling that, like a bit like my heart was sinking. And I've realised what the association was. Um, the reason why I've been in this cafe on a couple of occasions was because I literally just come out of the bookmakers, and and I can't remember whether I won on the fixed odds betting terminals or lost. But I've gone in there and I've had a coffee, and I actually think that the few times that I've been in the bookmakers, I've come out and I've won, and but it was ever so funny feeling because I think if I had lost heavily, I would just probably wouldn't have even gone in a cafe and had a coffee. So I have a feeling I'd probably won, and I'd probably come out, gone in this cafe, and then gone home. And but the feeling I had was horrible, and when I thought about it, I thought the association. If I was, I'm not sure whether the cafe's there, but if I were to pop in this cafe now, it wouldn't change that feeling, and I would probably have to pop in that cafe many, many times in order to kind of flip the script on the way I feel about. My association with that cafe is coming from the bookmakers, rather than just going in there and enjoying the atmosphere. I mean, I didn't play the games anyway, but it was that kind of like return. There's a lot of innocence about these geeky cafes that play these games. It's nice. It's kind of like it's sort of recapturing a little bit of childhood. I mean, I never played these games, these Dungeons and Dragons things when I was a kid because that came a little bit after I was a kid. But I used to love playing board games with my brothers. Different things. Not necessarily Monopoly. But we used to have lots of different board games. There was Mousetrap, and we had Haunted House was my favourite, and that was great because you'd kind of come through these two doors, and you kind of go around this whole kind of course, but you could sort of turn a wheel. There was like different wheels all over it, and that would send you down onto going down a different track. So yeah, it's really really cool. I love those kinds of games. I think there was another one. What was there? There was Colditz. That was good. That was like a war-based game. But it's good. You could collect little wire cutters, little things that you could use to escape and protect yourself. Um, I used to love playing those games, and very very fond memories. So to actually go into a geeks cafe, is was a really nice thing to do, and probably at that time when I was coming out of the bookmakers, it was like a little bit of escapism. But the one thing about playing on fixed odds betting terminals, they can be very exhausting. Not only is your kind of fingers always doing this, but your eyes are literally like that. You're kind of staring at the screen. You're waiting for something to move. Your eyes are flickering. Your mind is thinking, what do I need to switch that number on the roulette? Do I need to, do this? Am I putting too much on? Can I take some off? Um, your mind, it is so exhausting to actually play these horrible games. And so when I'd probably come out of it, I was probably pretty exhausted. And it it was just a respite rather than a pleasurable experience about enjoying a coffee and talking about stuff. So yeah, that occurred to me. I was at the bus stop today, and I thought, there's so much nostalgia I want to recapture from when I was younger. But I think some of it has kind of over the last 10 years, 20, 10, 15 years probably, has been definitely tainted by my addictive behaviour, and I think I've temporarily lost a bit of innocence through that and so, using the sort of cafe analogy, well, not the cafe analogy, but using a slightly different analogy, if I walk down the street late at night and I get mugged, um, if I then walk down that street in daylight and don't get mugged, I'm still going to feel like absolute crap walking down that street. The experience is still going to be in every fibre of my body. If I walk down that street 100 times at all times of day, and and nothing else happens, then my feelings will probably change. Um, and I've had this, with actual experiences with places where I've had a really, really bad experience, but somehow or other I end up going to these places over and over again, um, and I feel differently about them many, many years down the line. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to undo. The associations in my mind with certain places, certain things I do, even the music I listen to. I really want to kind of undo that and recapture the essence of enjoyment of life, without having to associate everything with the bookmakers. And as these feelings of loss, and addiction can stay with you for a long time. There's a lot I want to rewrite, basically. Um, I've, like I said at the beginning, I've taken steps to stop, um, well, to curtail my efforts of gambling, and it's really just the fixed odds betting terminals, and everybody would scream out at the camera now saying it's well, you're an idiot for playing them. Well, you know that's how they sucker people. Um, you start off by winning, and then that's it. That's it. It's There's probably a hell of a lot that goes on these machines that are psychological triggers for the individual who's playing them, and I would love psychologists to really, really analyze the sounds, um, the timing of these things, just to get an idea of the sort of hypnotic effect that they have on people. Because I've seen, and this is it. You see, even when you see something unfold with somebody else on one of these machines, um, you then go and do the same thing yourself, and that's the craziest thing. I when I used to in the old days, I used to put like my sports bets on only tiny little bit, about £2, £3, and I would sit there and I used to write it all out because it was kind of pre-betting terminal. So I'd put football bets on, I'd write them all out very diligently, fit them all onto a little piece of paper, and then I'd put my stake on, and then I'd cash me in. But what I'm doing now, I'm kind of observing around me, and I'd see especially on a Friday night, because you got the whole weekend of sport football. I'd see, a big bunch of guys come through the door. They'd all be crowded around, laughing, joking, and that one would playing them, playing the FOBT. Yeah, that's right. Um, Properties, and you would be having a joke, and it'd all be very light, and you begin by thinking, "Oh, okay, that's the way to do it. Just have a bit of fun, social thing." But gradually, the friends would drift off, and the same guy would just be on that, terminal. His whole demeanor would change, and an hour maybe later, he'd be effing and blinding at it, and eventually he'd walk out. And if his wages were in a packet, then it was pretty much that was it, gone. Um, and yeah, I used to observe that a lot, and I never really kind of considered it until then I started playing, and I mean, I've always been completely different when I've been playing. I never play it as a social thing. I was always, I didn't want anyone talking to me. It could be like a Jekyll and Hyde character. That's even up to recently. And I have to explain to people that I'm really, really friendly with. And that, I don't mean to be like that. When I'm on those things, I'm a completely different person. And it's, best not to, engage with me. Because I honestly believed in my mind that I could figure out numbers and stuff like that. Not necessarily predict what numbers are going to come up, but with a lot of these games, you'd get one or two hot numbers, and not always, not every game. And this is a mistake a lot of people make. They look out for a hot number on something like roulette, and on the machines, not necessarily live roulette, but and yeah, it's hit and miss. Some days you'd get a hot number and it would come out 4 or 5 times, and so you'd load that number a little bit more. And then sometimes it wouldn't, and before you knew it, you sort of 60 quid down, 80 quid down, 100 quid down, £400, £500, and this is how it went. And before very soon, you're in the same position as the guy who started out in there with all his mates. So it doesn't matter what kind of method you do, what kind of social circumstances you begin with, you will generally end up in the same mess. Only it depends what your demeanor is afterwards. Of recent times, actually, of the last, for 3 or 4 months, I started getting angry and swearing at the machine. That was something I never ever did before, and I would quite angrily sort of raise my concerns about how these machines are run by the companies, about how they, if only they gave a fair game, you could you know at least get a game out of them. I think I remember I had 300. um I mean, to just get technical for a minute, on the roulette, you have a sort of spin wheel, which is a spin bar, which is down the sides. It's like at £2, it's completely green. £3, it's a tiny little bit of red. £4, more red. Five, and so on. And you get down to a point where, for like £5, you kind of got that much green, and you kind of got that much red. But then obviously the odds changed. Between £5 and £11, there's not too much difference, probably about that. But the odds of landing in the green get less and less and less. Um, and so, on a what I would call a relatively safe spin, which would probably be about £8 or something, you got a good chance of you hit once every few spins of the up and down bar, you would get the green and it would land in. Then you get the spin. But playing what I would call moderate amount, like the £8, I think it was I think the one time that I £300, no, one spinning £300 on £8, and that's crazy because you'd expect to get maybe um 10, 15 spins on £30 in that kind of space as well, and £30 would leave you with a tiny bit at the bottom. And believe it or not, it would actually land in there, but it would take probably sometimes about 50, £60 to get there. And then you've got to hope that it lands on the number that you want it to, and that number will cover the amount that you've put on. So it's kind of like a little reversal of the old roulette, but more frustrating in some ways because you can get very close to the spin bar. So the spin bar is there, and it'll go up, and it'll come down, and then sometimes it'll just land just a fraction above the into the red. So um, and that could be after sort of £60 going. So yeah, so basically my whole demeanour changed, and I started effing and blinding at these machines, not loudly, but to me it sounded like I was roaring it out, but I was probably saying it pretty quietly. And yeah, it's and I wanted to stop about 2 months ago, and just I just kept I'd stop, and then I'd if okay, I'm just going to put a £20 in, just going to put £20 in, and then what would happen is I'd win 150 quid off it. Oh, winning again. My luck's changing. Um, Maybe next time I win, I'd win £7. Maybe next time then I'd win £20, £30. A couple of weeks I'd have £200 win. Fantastic. So, and then the next time I play, I'm 700 quid down, 1,000 quid down. Um, and and that's, and you're thinking, yeah, but you was up. And the weird thing is, the biggest losses I've had are the ones where I've actually been up. I've been up by about £30. I was thinking, I've been up by, like £31. Right? Okay, I and it's because I've got automated spins. I think, okay, well, I've got two spins. Let's just let them spin out. And spin out, nothing, nothing, nothing. Well, I'll just carry on for like another 10 spins. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Um, and yeah, before I know it, I'm going to the counter, and that's £200. I'm thinking, how the hell did I go from being up to being 200 quid down, 300 quid down? Um, and yeah, so it can happen very quickly, and it's very easily done. And obviously now, just to wrap this video up, I because I can't just go up and refresh the with a credit, because my card is blocked in all bookmakers, and that's something you can do. You can't do it through your bank, which was really annoying. I had to go online banking to do that, and I've always been quite suspicious about online banking, but I suppose I've got to get with the times. And even at first on online banking, I couldn't do it. I actually physically couldn't figure out a way to do it. And then the thing came that said you have to have a mobile app to do it. I thought it's just getting really complicated because my phone is very old. Again, my phone is very old because I haven't had the money to buy a newer phone because I'm always gambling it away. Um, so yeah, so that's done. That's done now. I've finally been able to do that, and it's weird. It is acting like a restraint on me now because I can't. I won't just whatever money I've got on me is whatever money I've got on me. I can't go into there and lose hundreds. It just can't happen anymore. So that I'm glad about. But obviously, now I am observing. Now I've put the fire out. I'm observing the damage that it has created, and like I said, we're talking at least at least 14, 15 years of damage. Um, I can't regret what I've done in life, um, because that's how life unfolds. You know, a series of things happen. You can make a series of bad decisions, bad mistakes, and that can last a week, a month, 10 years, 15 years, but you can um, move forward. Plant a new tree, um, you know, and that's what I'm doing now. It's never too late to plant a tree, and that's the way I really want to go. And yeah, people will look at this video saying, it's just, typical gambler who's given up, typical addiction who's given up, I'm never going to do this again. Then, 2 months down the line, you'll be, you know, um, losing lots of money again. You'll find a way to take money out and get it in. You'll probably unfreeze your bank account to do it. But seriously, it's kind of refreshing, and I do feel like I had to put a restraint in place because I thought I'm not a strong person, and I thought I was, and I'm not. So yeah. So if you want to take anything away from this video, number one, if you've got a gambling problem, um, try and first of all block the methods that you're using. If you're doing it online, just cancel your account. They will bother you to carry on that account. I did have an online account before. I'll tell you about another time, and they will sort of harass you to keep that account open. I have many texts. The other thing to do is block your card from being used. Block your account. Um, just stay. Maybe if you enjoy putting a football bet on, the new season's about to start. Try and get somebody to come with you, and get somebody to come with you. You go in, put your bet on with them, go for a coffee, and but avoid the heavier gambling um, issues of fixed odds betting terminals. If it's your poison, then that's what you need to avoid. Football bet, as you know, it's something you can do, and if you have a little win, that's nice. But ultimately, have somebody come with you so that you feel like, and tell them, to be honest with them, say, look, come with us because I want to put a bet on, but I don't want to be lured into these things, and we can go do something you like afterwards. Something different, and then you can sort of associate your day then with something actually better than sitting upright in front of a bunch of like lights and images and all that kind of thing, and pressing that button, and the evil noise of the money going in, that that's just. I mean, I actually heard that the other day. Um, and it was just like, that's so it's still very much in me to the temptation. That doesn't stop, and but what will increase actually is the fear of loss. So the unpredictability of how much you might win or lose has always been appealing, but I think the the fear of actually mm, losing what I've got in my pocket will probably hold me back from the any sort of like chance of winning, because I know that I can't stake enough to actually make it back if I do lose what I've got in my pocket. And it's and I've got stuff I'd rather use that money for. But yeah, anything you can do, any little method you can use to keep you away from those things, the better. And like I said, if you're doing it online, then maybe just cancel your account. Um, and if you started off online by and playing, putting a bet on a football, putting a line on a football, then, or placing a bet on cricket or tennis, um, just find another method. Find the physical method. Go into a bookmaker's, do it there. Because you can lose, you can still lose a lot on, in sort of English, British bookmakers online sort of thing. So, anyway, that's kind of just what I wanted to say, really. I've been had a quite good day today. I've been still been in a bit of discomfort, but it feels like it's getting better. I think if I just stick to eating super, so if anyone ever saw this video, but they've watched this video, basically I had a pain in my abdomen, which, could possibly be, have been appendicitis, but because I didn't have the symptoms of it, it's not. And um, yeah, I think it's just probably an inflamed gut. And again, stresses of life can, spark these things, and there's a whole load of things that there's the world is full of possibilities right now for me. If I can just, stay away from gambling, and I'm never going to promise that, but I'm going to do everything I can to flip the script on it, and I'm putting these videos out if in case anyone can maybe um understand what I'm talking about. If you're going through it, then, or if you're in that position, then you'll understand. It's not about, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to really be judged. Um, I'm not religious, but I guess if I were, then I'd be saying there's only one person who can judge me. Um, so yeah, uh, that's all I really got to say, and I will maybe do another video on something different tomorrow. So guys, folks, my 6 subscribers, thank you, and have a great evening, and have a fantastic weekend, and hopefully this little bit of sunshine that we've got um, will survive for a little bit longer. There's still a bit of gardening I need to do, which I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, take care of yourselves and have a fantastic week.